It's Monday, February 24. In the headlines, Portmore residents protest against the area becoming a parish. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness defends stewardship of Jamaica's economy. In business news, earnings season continues in the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Regionally, CARICOM weighs in on U.S. deportation and trade policies. And in sports, Jamaica's under-20 reggae girls to clash with Nicaragua. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Some Portmore residents took to the streets on Monday to protest the government's decision to make Portmore Jamaica's 15th parish. Protesters, armed with placards, voiced their frustration over what they say is a lack of public engagement in the decision-making process. On February 11, the government passed a bill to amend the Counties and Parishes Act of 1867 to establish Portmore as Jamaica's newest parish. The bill now moves to the Senate for approval before becoming a law. If the Senate gives its nod, this would be the first parish to be established in 150 years. The demonstration was led by key members of the opposition People's National Party and caused traffic snarl along Dawkins Drive, disrupting access to the toll road. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is boasting that Jamaica is now considered the poster child of fiscal discipline and has earned the praises of international agencies. Dr. Holness was speaking at a Diaspora Town Hall 2025 meeting put on by the Jamaican High Commission and the Honorary Council for Jamaica in Barbados over the weekend. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says his administration's effective stewardship of the country's economy has resulted in the stabilizing of the Jamaican dollar and the island's foreign exchange reserves.
A decade ago, a couple of years ago, everybody quarreled about the Jamaican dollar and the instability of the Jamaican dollar. I don't hear anybody quarrel about that these days. And by the way, do you know that Jamaica has a freely floating exchange rate?
Noting once again that for 10 budgets, Jamaica will have no new taxes, he describes this as a major achievement.
And that is a major achievement in the long struggle. Because if we didn't solve that problem, the struggle would be meaningless.
Dr. Holness also pointed to Jamaica receiving a positive rating by American credit rating agency Fitch, which last week affirmed Jamaica's rating at BB- with a positive outlook.
You know, rating agencies don't just look at our financial position. They are an aggregation of a large volume of information about a country. And they are usually very good at determining what is happening in a country. So rating fundamentals, continuing positive outlook, Jamaica's BB- ratings reflect stronger governance than the peer median. What does that mean? That Jamaica's management is better than countries in its peer group.
He explains that the rating agency usually analyzes a country's financial position, noting progress with debt reduction, a sound fiscal framework, and a strong political commitment to deliver large primary surpluses. Education Minister Senator Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon says her ministry is working with the Health Ministry to address safety concerns at Retirement Primary School in St. Elizabeth. This comes after a machete attack on a school worker Tuesday morning, reportedly by a man of unsound mind.
Now, the safety of our students and our teachers is paramount. And so I was really very disturbed when I heard the story. And to know that it wasn't the first time made it even worse. As a ministry, we have committed to building the fence. We actually are out to procure the fence, which is important. So that's one element. The individual was arrested and was in custody, but they needed more than that. And so the Ministry of Health is now working with that individual to provide treatment because they need treatment, which is the key thing.
It's not the first incident. Back in October 2022, the same attacker stormed the school and wounded the then principal. That attack sparked calls for a perimeter fence to protect staff and students. Minister Maurice Dixon says while security measures are being addressed, more will be needed to fully safeguard the school.
And so we see these issues happening around the country, and it is important that our communities be vigilant and also that these individuals are able to get the kind of care that they need, because he has obviously been at the school several times and has been an issue for a long time. And so I think the issue is we have to address the security concern with the fence, but we also have to have a longer term solution in relation to his care. And I'm very happy that the Ministry of Health has stepped in and has committed to providing that care. And also the community has said that they will also be more vigilant and work with the police if there are any other incidents.
Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, here to bring you the stories shaping the financial world and guiding your journey to smarter business decisions. Let's dive into the top headlines. Wholesale distributor Atlantic Hardware and Plumbing is offering its business to the local capital market with the first initial public offering IPO for 2025, seeking to raise $499.99 million. The IPO will open Thursday morning, February 27, closing on March 13. The shares are priced at $1 Jamaican per share for the 499.99 million shares in the invitation. Each application must be for a minimum of 1,000 shares and thereafter in multiples of 100 shares. Founded in 1994, Atlantic is a 30-year-old wholesale distributor stocking over 2,400 inventory items, including home improvement supplies, plumbing tools, building materials, doors, flooring, lawn and garden supplies, paint, and adhesives. Its customer base comprises of hardware stores, contractors, developers, and retail consumers. Atlantic has over 1,000 repeat customers and 35 employees. Atlantic is on a steady growth path and is expected to continue to produce increased revenues and profits. In the financial year of 2023, the company achieved revenues of $1.4 billion and net profit before tax of $147 million. Atlantic Hardware and Plumbing will use the net proceeds to repay a portion of its existing indebtedness, specifically $300 million in debt, which is to be paid in full, while the other debts, which include 3 other debts, will be repaid by $57 million each. As we continue to review corporate results, the companies listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange experienced a mixed results of profits and losses. A.S. Bryden and Sons Holding Limited, unaudited financials for the year ending December 31, 2024 report a 38% decline in year-end net profit attributable to shareholders. 138 Student Limited, unaudited financials for the first quarter ended December 31, 2024 reports a 16% increase in 3 months net profit. General Accident Insurance Company Jamaica Limited, unaudited financials for the 12 months ending December 31, 2024 reports a year-end net profit of $312.05 million. Epley Limited unaudited financials for the year ending December 31, 2024 reports 80% increase in year-end net profits attributable to shareholders. For the trading period ending February 21, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Alternative energy provider Wigton Limited with 3,624,252 units traded, representing 18.92% of market sales volume. Investment firm QWI Investments Limited with 3,585,410 units traded, representing 18.72% of market sales volume. Toll road operator Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with 1,536,522 units traded, representing 8.02% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rate set by the Bank of Jamaica. On February 21, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $44.76 million purchased and US $58.5 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $1.23 per dollar traded, selling the US at $158.16 and buying the US at $156.93. The Canadian dollar netted Forex traders $3.12 per transaction, with selling at $113.06 and buying at $109.94. The British pound yielded Forex traders $7.72 in profits, with selling at $200.52 and buying at $192.80. For our credit report tip of the day, as a freelancer or gig worker, covering the cost of higher education for your children can feel like an uphill battle, especially without a traditional salary. But here's the good news. Your credit score can be a powerful tool to access funding, lower costs, and find creative solutions that make college more affordable. So if your challenge is that tuition costs are overwhelming, then the solution is that building a strong credit score can help you qualify for lower interest personal loans or private student loans to cover tuition gaps. Now, in looking at building resilience and starting over, if you're a professional woman over 45 with a teenager heading to college, you know the pressure is real. You're trying to rebuild your finances after life's curveball, maybe paying down debt and somehow helping your child to get through university without that child drowning in student loans. All the while knowing that your retirement is creeping up fast. So if your challenge is, I can't save for retirement and pay for college, your solution, pay yourself first. Your child can take out loans, apply for scholarships, and work part-time, but you can't borrow for retirement. So max out your retirement accounts. It will give you tax-free income in retirement. And that wraps up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, reminding you that every financial decision is a step toward your future. Until next time, stay focused, stay informed, and keep striving for success. See you soon.
In regional news, Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown backs a critical World Bank report on Caribbean education failings. He says reforms are underway and will accelerate, using technology to connect specialist teachers with students. Brown spoke on Point FM after a CARICOM meeting in Barbados. Garfield Burford reports.
The World Bank's report is damning. Its first line says, quote, the Caribbean is facing a severe education crisis with recent data revealing critical gaps in learning outcomes, end quote. The report also says, quote, a lack of strong foundational skills in literacy, numeracy, and critical thinking is at the heart of the problem, end quote. Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown agrees the region's education system is still based on colonial constructs. He says significant investments will be needed to make the transition to the post-colonial era, and his government is willing to put its money where its mouth is. One of those areas would include using technology to allow some teachers to provide instruction to students at various schools. That requires a strong broadband architecture, and the Prime Minister says that's why the government is investing in its own subsea fibre through the APUA. CARICOM Chair and the Barbados Prime Minister Mia Motley agrees the region's education system needs an overhaul.
The community took a decision that the time had come now for the establishment of a CARICOM Educational Transformation Commission, and over the course of the next few weeks we will complete the terms of reference for that commission and the composition of that commission, because we all accept that our educational systems are not fit for purpose. They were designed for a colonial period with a hierarchical structure that only saw a few of our people.
She says the time is now to address the issue, as the education system must produce citizens equipped with the skills needed for the current environment. It's an issue expected to drive intense discussions across the CARICOM region.
Caribbean nationals facing deportation from the United States under the Donald Trump administration won't see CARICOM stepping in, because it's up to individual member states to handle their own citizens. That's according to CARICOM Chair, Barbados Prime Minister Mia Motley, who says each government is making its own resettlement arrangements.
We all agreed that the most important thing is for us to have the information attached to the persons who will be coming back. All of us accept that it is the right of any government to determine who should be within the jurisdiction of the particular country. The President of the United States and his administration has made it clear. We have asked each in our own right for that information to help us to be better able to prepare. We hope that at some point within the next month or two to have a high-level engagement with the United States government generally, not just on this issue.
Meanwhile, CARICOM is keeping a close eye on shifts in U.S. trade policy. Jamaica's Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, who oversees external trade negotiations, says the private sector is worried, but the region's trade office is already working on strategies to address potential challenges.
We will therefore be conducting a very detailed review of our trade situation with the United States, and we hope that in another 3 or 4 months we will have a document which will give us a policy direction and give advice and support to the governments of the region as to how to treat with any potential change that may happen in U.S. foreign policy.
Prime Minister Mia Motley is reassuring the nation that despite ongoing borrowing for national projects, Barbados' debt-to-GDP ratio remains on the right track. Her comments came as government signed a U.S. $75 million loan agreement with the CAF Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean, aimed at financing a major cultural and innovation initiative. Anesta Henry has the details.
Barbados' debt-to-GDP ratio continues to travel on a downward trajectory, says Prime Minister Mia Motley. She adds that this is happening even as government is borrowing to finance projects that will grow the economy and improve the lives of citizens. She says it is important this message is relayed to Barbadians amidst criticism of government's borrowing.
When we came to office, we inherited a debt situation that when we added what the government owed to everybody, the debt-to-GDP ratio was 177%. We brought it down to 119%, and it went back up during COVID to 152%, as you would recall. It is back down now at the end of December last year to 103%, and we are working towards bringing it to double-digit, hopefully by the end of this year, certainly the beginning of next year. And that includes all of these other instruments that we are signing. So, you know, if you start to make comments without appreciating context, the dumbest person in the room can look like the brightest person in the world.
Ms. Motley points to the fact that credit rating agencies have improved Barbados' credit ratings as evidence that the island's debt is manageable.
As you pay down debt, and you may recall that in last year's budget, I chose to pay down some debt as well, separate from what we were obligated to do. Even as you pay down debt, you need to borrow to build new capacity in the economy. If not, the economy simply will not grow.
The $75 million CAF loan will finance the construction of the National Performing Arts Center at the Newton Slave Burial Ground and also an amphitheater at the National Botanical Gardens. It will also finance the modernization of the air navigation equipment at the Grantley Adams International Airport. Minister in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for culture, Dr. Chantel Maronite, says the construction of the facilities will benefit cultural practitioners and the country as a whole.
Yes, it is a loan. It is something that we have to be able to pay back. But it's an investment as well. It's an investment. It's an investment in growth of the sector. It's an investment in space and opportunities for people to be able to grow their craft. And I think that is important in the whole equation.
CAF has been a partner with Barbados for over 10 years. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
In sports, we begin with football. Jamaica's under-20 reggae girls will be playing for a spot in the CONCACAF Women's Under-20 Championship when they meet hosts Nicaragua in a Group D decider at 7 p.m. today in that country. The young reggae girls must win to advance, while Nicaragua can move to the next round with a draw. Both have 6 points, but with 13 goals for and none against Nicaragua, have a superior goal difference. Now on to the tracks with some results from the Gibson McCook relays that took place on the weekend at the National Stadium. The Calabar quartet of Jamal Stevenson, Shaquane Gordon, Dijon Swain and Kamali Gordon did not disappoint with a superb 39.60 seconds to win the boys Class 1 4x100 meters relay. Kingston College pulled off a surprise victory in the Class 2 4x100 meters. Jamaica College emerged as the top performing relay sprinters though, capturing the Class 3 and 4 events. Sprint Tech claimed the women's 4x100 meters event for colleges and clubs. St. Jago defended their Class 3 title, upstaging Edwin Allen to win in 46.51 seconds. Edwin Allen finished second in 46.57, while Alpha secured third in 47.56. Hydel turned back favorites Edwin Allen to win the Class 2 event in 45.79. Edwin Allen finished second in 45.91 with Ver Technical third in 46.00. Edwin Allen were the top sprinting female team, securing 2 relay victories. Now on to regional sports. Trinidad and Tobago's under-20 women's football team shook off a tough first half against Bermuda to secure a solid 3-0 victory in their opening match of the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers. Head coach Darnell Mascal says she's pleased with the win as the team now sets its sights on Dominica for their next showdown.
The Trinidad and Tobago under-20 women's football team opened their World Cup qualifying campaign with a 3-0 victory over Bermuda on Saturday at the Atto Bolden Stadium. A second-half brace from Oriel Martin and a goal from Madison Campbell secured TNT's first victory in Group E. Head coach Darnell Mascal spoke to the media following the match.
Well, I must say hats off to Bermuda. They were in it for 45 minutes. They are a talented bunch, and I'm just happy that we were able to gather ourselves for the second half and be victorious in the end. Well, if you look at the composition of our team, the U20 players, this is their first time at CONCACAF. And clearly, first half, nerves were blaring. We weren't able to put down the ball and play like we trained. And again, it's all a part of the game and a learning experience, and we move forward to Dominica.
Mascal particularly praised the contribution from her wingers. She also stated the improvements needed ahead of their February 23rd matchup against Dominica.
Of course, we made Rashida did well. we made sure and reminded them to give 100 and allow us to manage the game. She did what she had to do first half. Borneo was excellent as well. And then Mariah came in, and as we call them, she was definitely a game changer. More so, they'll be spending a little more time with the mental coach, because confidence was the word for today. And again, we saw a little immaturity at times when we first started. But again, the cohesiveness of the team, especially bringing in the U17 players who are accustomed playing with one another, we saw where that worked for us. So back to the drawing board, and we'll spend a little time with the mental coach, go back and try to build better relationships on the pitch.
Going forward, the head coach stated that her team will continue to play to their strengths.
We want to be dynamic. We shouldn't be able to predict the way we want to attack, because we have Madison, who was she's very technical with the ball, so we use that as an asset. We have Oriel, who we see is very cunning. Takai is another one who's very smooth on the ball, but we make sure and emphasize that we are a dynamic team. There's not going to be one or two ways in which we attack. We plan to use our strengths and use it as best as we could.
Adrian Lazar, TTT Sport.
Big changes at the top of CARICOM's cricket subcommittee. Guyana's president, Dr. Ifran Ali, is taking over as chairman, replacing Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley. The announcement came last night from Dr. Rowley himself as regional leaders wrapped up the 48th CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in Barbados.
We did have some discussion, not too much detail, because we have done some work before in Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago, and we've seen some results. Some progress have been made and being made. But the main thing is that because this is the end of my tenure as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago and my last meeting at CARICOM, today I handed over at plenary, and the heads selected or agreed to select my colleague from Guyana, who is an eminent cricketer, as you know, President Irfan Ali, to now take the chairmanship of the subcommittee on cricket, because we maintain our interest in the potential for West Indies cricket to remain at the high level internationally, and the preservation of our legacy. And the heads of government should continue to be interested in what goes on in West Indies cricket and assist wherever we can.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thank you so much for watching.